then how come lots of people do manage to stay slim? You can't blame the temptations of the supermarket confectionery aisle or the high street burger chain or our sedentary lives when we have neighbours, friends and colleagues who don't seem to struggle like we do. Whilst it's certainly true that not everyone is carrying excess fat, some of that variation is down to the fact that we're all wired differently. Our genes and past experiences, for example, can help to set the dial on how much we crave unhealthy foods and how our body responds when eating those foods. They can also influence how likely we are to cave at the sight of a chocolate bar at the supermarket checkout. Perhaps you grew up in a family that wasn't able to make healthy choices, or you may have a job that makes it really challenging to have a routine around food. Or maybe your life is full of stress that results in you prioritizing other things like money and bills before your health. Perhaps you are a carer for others and feel that you barely have enough time to sleep, let alone think about the quality of the food that you are putting into your mouth. You might live or work in an environment that's more likely to trigger unhealthy eating behaviors, or you may have suffered through punishing calorie restriction diets that have made your problem worse. You could be all of the above. But don't despair. There's hope. In fact, there's more than just hope. Over the last few years, scientists have made some incredible discoveries, and we're going to take full advantage of them in order to solve your weight problems once and for all. Why diets don't work. Over the last 20 years of seeing patients, I've witnessed the same thing in my surgery time and time again. People come in full of enthusiasm about some trendy new weight loss plan, convinced it's the final answer they've been looking for. But when I see them a few months later, they're back to where they started, or worse. It's heartbreaking to witness, but it's also sadly predictable. Conventional diets usually work only for a short amount of time. What happens is this. People feel extremely motivated for a while and they follow their diet books to the letter. They succeed in losing weight and they feel amazing. They think they've got it sussed, but here's the secret of the diet book industry. Most of them work okay for 3 or 4 weeks and, in that time, everyone talks about the book to everyone else, which drives the sales up. They become bestsellers, which in itself drives even more sales. But a few months later, these latest and greatest books usually quietly disappear from the shelves. By this time, many of their readers will have put all the weight they lost right back on again, and they'll have blamed themselves. But they shouldn't. They haven't failed. The diet plan they've been following has. Conventional diets generally don't work because they put people on a regime of hunger and willpower that's simply not sustainable. They also fail because they usually tackle only 1 or 2 areas of life, what you're eating and how you're moving, rather than treating the whole life and the whole person. Carrying excess weight is usually down to a variety of factors, and they all require care and attention. Finally, they don't really understand what's going on biologically when we're not eating in a healthy way. For the vast majority of people, the core problem has little to do with willpower and exercise, and everything to do with the way their bodies are currently working. It's worth it. I sometimes meet patients who've been influenced by the body positivity movement, which campaigns for the broader acceptance of people, whatever their weight. I completely agree with much of what they're saying. I believe they're right to point out that we live in a fat-phobic society that has all sorts of cruel and inaccurate ideas about larger men and women. However, a small minority of activists go further than this and claim that the science around weight and health outcomes is not accurate, while others encourage people not to do anything about their excess fat. This can have harmful and unintended consequences. Whilst there's plenty of fascinating debate to be had around these issues, there's no doubt whatsoever among experts that if you're currently carrying excess weight and you become slimmer, you'll be sick less and you'll probably live longer. It's highly likely that your mood and mental health will improve as well. The fuel tank and the flashing light.